Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Monday. Hope everyone's doing well. We'll give everyone a chance to get in. Hopefully our guests for tonight will be here soon. Very interesting topic tonight, regulating your emotions. So we are in store for a bit of a treat this evening. All right, I'll be right back.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Hello there, Najee. How are you?
How are you doing?
I am doing well.
I'm great. Thanks for asking. It's
Super
great. I'm
excited to chat with you tonight. The community's just coming in. We'll give them 2 more minutes to get in, and then we're going to jump in and get started because I am excited to talk to you. Miss Robin has hyped you up.
I love Robin. She's amazing.
And so I trust all things Robin Mansell. So I am excited to chat with you this evening, and you can help us get everything together, get our thoughts in line.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I appreciate you for having me. I'm super excited as well. So thank you.
Nice. And this is Talisha Shine. She's here to join us.
Hello, Talisha. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking.
So to the community members, thank you guys for joining. I see you all coming in. This evening's conversation, if you don't already know, is how to properly regulate your emotions. And so Mr. Pritchett is here to talk to us. Hopefully we walk away with some actionable tips that we can use to regulate our emotions, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I can tell you, Najee, you are right on time with this topic. Your girl has had one heck of a last couple of months. And so I've been waiting for this one. I'm like, okay, I need some tips.
Amazing. I'm glad to hear it. I'm just gonna just be me and let it flow, and it's gonna help you in the ways it's meant to help you. So I'm excited. I'm super excited about it, and just go on from there.
And we're pretty laid back here. So you know, we are excited to talk to you, but just kind of give you some background on who we are and what we do here at the 10K Project. We're a wealth building community. And we, from an investor standpoint, help the average investor try to build wealth, right? We give them tips, tools, strategies. We introduce them to new opportunities, ways they can build wealth. And then for the Black entrepreneur who's raising capital, we are their investors. So we raise capital for Black entrepreneurs as well. And the whole point is to just really, you know, circulate that Black dollar in our community and allow us to build wealth. And build wealth like the wealthy has built wealth for years and years and years, all those ways that we don't know. And so when Robin and I are, you know, we're friends, and she was talking about you one day. I was like, we need to bring him on the show. Like, like everything we're trying to do from a wealth building standpoint, many of us still have day jobs, we've got families, life is happening all around us. And it's difficult sometimes to stay motivated, stay focused, right? Or to even, I say stay motivated, to become motivated for some people, right? Some people have never even experienced motivation. And so for all of us who are at some point on that continuum, we need help from a mindset standpoint, right? And so as she was talking about you and the help that you provided to her and allowed her to put some things in perspective with people in her life and things in her life, I was like, yeah, we need to talk. Like, we need to get him on here to talk to us because we all need a little help. And
Absolutely.
so we are super, as I stated, we're super excited to chat with you. I'd like to jump in by just saying, please introduce yourself. Tell us about your background. Tell us, you know, kind of how you became an expert in this field. And then we'll jump right in and just kind of start talking.
Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm Najee Pritchard. I'm an emotional awareness specialist. I specialize in helping people learn how to properly regulate their emotions by helping them learn to respond to how they feel versus react from it. And a lot of times, especially in the world that we grow up in, we learn to react from how we feel as a way to keep ourselves safe, but we never actually pay attention to what's going on inside of us. So a lot of times people be like, I got anger issues, I got control issues. They think it's the story of how they feel, without realizing how your mind thinks how you feel is not the accurate representation of how you actually feel, because a lot of times it's due to childhood trauma or an abuse or whatever happened in an experience in which you never was able to feel safe and you never was able to really learn how to go within yourself to understand what's happening, because our bodies tries to communicate to us. But most of the time with trauma, the mind and the body becomes out of alignment. And we don't know this because it's an unconscious thing and it happens when we're kids and whatnot. So now we're going through the world looking through the lens of a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old, but we're actually grown and not realizing we're still stuck in a story of which we feel unsafe. So I pretty much started, I had to go through my own experience with my ex. We were together and we broke up, and then it was a part of me that just felt unseen, and I felt like she was the only person in the world who understood me and who knew me. And when we broke up, I just went diving into like blaming her and making her responsible for how I feel. And then I started to notice myself talking to other people to get validation, like, yeah, she was the crazy one, she did it, she did everything, and they was agreeing with me. And then one day it kind of hit me where it was like, I felt like I was this monster within myself, and her reaction was only reflecting that back to me because I didn't feel like I was enough. And when I started to really understand it was a me thing, and I attracted her based on how I felt within myself and looking for her to be my escape, then I started to understand, okay, what's going on inside of me? Where's this story of me not feeling like I'm enough? Where's this coming from? Because energetically, I only attracted her because I already felt like I was enough to begin with, and she just reflected that. So then I went diving into books, listening to psychology podcasts, listening to therapist podcasts, listening to everything that I can help me figure out what was going on inside of me, until I finally discovered how to emotionally regulate. And a lot of times, most of these therapists and psychologists and counselors, they don't know how to properly regulate their own emotions because they never learned about it, because big pharma and the pharmaceutical companies and all that stuff, so they only teach them the certain amounts. So now they're giving you behavior or things to do to change your behavior without ever getting to the programming what's causing that behavior to begin with, which is trauma. So that's kind of like a little short summary type of thing about me.
That was the summary?
The quick summary.
Wow. You got deep in just that.
Oh, for real?
Wow.
See, I just do this all the time, so it's kind of it's normal for me. I can't have a normal conversation. I realize that now. But
this
yeah,
is your normal conversation.
this is my normal. Yes,
This
ma'am.
is your
Absolutely.
normal conversation. Okay. Well, Talisha, I feel like we're gonna get a run for our money tonight. Like, I feel like there's some wounds are gonna either open wide or heal. One or the other tonight. Okay, so guys, at any point, please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A, comment in the chat. This is an open forum, you know how we do it, so just feel comfortable doing that. Okay, so emotional awareness specialist. Tell us what that is, right? And how you help people we'll make sure you put your contact information in the chat throughout the
Absolutely.
evening, because we want them to be able to reach out to you to get this help. But what does an emotional awareness specialist do? So do I call you and set up an appointment like I do with a therapist? Are you certified? Tell me a little bit about that.
So there's absolutely no certifications for what I do. It's more so me understanding what trauma actually is versus the certification means you only went to school and they taught you what trauma is. But you got to realize they're teaching people based on how to make money. So going to a therapist, they implement there's something wrong with you, so you need to be fixed. So you go to a therapist to try to get fixed on there being a problem with you. What I speak about is there's nothing wrong with you. There's just a part of you stuck in an experience in which it never got to properly regulate itself. So I don't try to fix people. I just help people understand there's nothing broken about you. So the thing is, what I do with the emotional awareness is a lot of times you go to a therapist because you feel like you got anxiety or you got suppression, which is actually what it is, not depression. But these are just stories that our minds create as a way to distract us from how we feel. So we're suppressing the emotions because when you understand your mind can't feel, only your body can. What happens is your mind couples a story to an event. So now, almost like your mom yelled at you when you were 5 and you felt the tightness in your chest. The tightness in your chest is now your mind believes, okay, this tightness in my chest means I'm unsafe. When in reality, the tightness in your chest means your body's trying to let you know there's something going on inside of it. So the awareness is bringing the awareness to what you're actually feeling versus the story that your mind is telling you about how you feel. So it's understanding to listen to what your body's trying to communicate to you versus trying to distract you from how you feel. So that's why I say I help people learn to respond to how they feel instead of react from it. Because the reacting is to go away from. Reacting is to redo the same thing over and over and over again. You're going to get the same results. You're like, damn, I'm yelling, I'm frustrated, I'm aggravated. Let me go work out. Let me go do meditation. Let me go do yoga. Let me go do all this mind-based stuff. But in reality, you're doing everything to disassociate from how you feel.
Instead of tackling and addressing the issue.
Yeah, what I help people do is let's listen to what's going on inside of you versus the story that your mind is telling you, because when you understand trauma, your mind still thinks you're the same age psychologically in which you first experienced that traumatic event. And trauma is not just what happens to you, it's also what happens inside of you as a result of what happened to you. And what happens inside of you is now your mind is no longer in alignment with your body. So now you think, if I feel this tightness in my chest, that means something bad is about to happen. But I tell my clients, if you're not about to die or about to experience a lot of pain in this current environment, the way you're reacting from how you feel is not equivalent to the actual experience of what you have going on. It's almost like the equivalent of like dropping a pebble in the water. You drop a pebble, the ripple of the pebble will be the ripple of the water will be the size of a pebble. But what happens to us based on trauma, you drop a pebble in the water and the reaction is almost like a boulder was released. It's almost like you're about to die. So now you need to fight. Now you need to freeze. Now you need to faint. Now you're in attack mode. Now you're in protective mode. And what's happening is people don't realize what you see is how you feel. People think it's the other way around, but you're really seeing externally what you feel inside of your body. So that's where the disconnect is, because now the way you interpret what's happening in the external environment is not what's happening in the external environment, but it's how you feel about what you got going on within yourself. So I do all that, and it just helps people bring more awareness to what's going on inside of you versus the story that your mind is telling you.
Okay, so let's go back to that. What you see is what you feel.
Mm-hmm. How you feel determines what you see. So it's almost like I use the example.
So we're in control and we don't even realize it.
Yes, it's an unconscious thing, because trauma distorts how you see the world, because now you're looking from a place of survival. Now you're looking, I need to fight. You attacked me, you came at me, you said a whole bunch of words. It's almost like when a person says a whole bunch of words, it's not the words that trigger you, it's your interpretation of what they're saying that triggers you. And a lot of times it's not even the accurate representation of what they're saying. It's based on the trauma that you experience. So I could say the sky is blue, and all your life, when you used to say the sky is blue, your mom would come and be like, you stupid, you're retarded, the sky is orange. So now you're reacting as if I'm your mama, when in reality, I'm just expressing what I think the sky is. So that's why it's like how you feel determines what you see, because that is what determines how you interact and relate to the world. If that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense, but it also then uncovers for me, how do you effectively communicate? Because we're dealing with individuals and we all have our own traumas, right? Our own
Absolutely.
biases.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing, you know, what we're all feeling as we're interacting with each other. And so when I close my eyes and I just see the energy that could come from that, it could be tumultuous because I don't know what Talisha's going through at any given time, right? She doesn't know what I'm going through at any given time. We don't know each other's back. Now we do because we're best friends, but you know, we may not know each other's background and history. We don't know the triggers. So as we're walking through this world, interacting with people, what you just said helped me understand why it's oftentimes so difficult to do so effectively. There's so much stuff that we don't even see that's at play.
Absolutely. And the thing is to make it easier to understand, I tell my clients, if what a person is saying isn't true, then they're not talking to you. They're talking to themselves. You're just there witnessing it, or they're talking to a part of them based on their parents or their mom saying something. So when you understand that, now you're not taking it personal. And I also use the quote that I created. The only way you can feel some type of way about something that has nothing to do with you is to make it about you. So where are you making whatever she's saying or he's saying or he's doing about you? Because that's the gift in helping you understand the triggers there to bring awareness to what's happening inside of you. So I want people to face their triggers, not react from them, but understand the triggers not a bad thing. It's there to help you understand that there's something going on inside of me that I have to deal with. It's almost like with cancer. Most people don't understand when it comes to chronic diseases, 100% of chronic diseases are linked to some type of emotional suppression. So now what happens in the pharmaceutical world is you have cancer, we need to eradicate the cancer. We're not going to touch on what caused you to get the cancer to begin with, the trauma, your diet, and none of that. We're just going to focus on the symptom of the issue. What I do is help people get to the root cause so that they can understand, okay, I have cancer. What caused that person to get cancer to begin with? Once you understand how to connect and regulate your emotions, now you understand the body's trying to detox or let you know that there's a lot of hurt and a lot of pain that you're storing, which has to go somewhere, and it effectively becomes cancer, or it effectively becomes diabetes, or it becomes this, high blood. It's all different ways in which your body tries to communicate. We just live in a society where the doctors tries to, and there's no knock on doctors or anything because they're amazing at what they do, but they learn to disconnect from the body. So now you're telling people that there's something wrong with your body instead of realizing your body's just trying to communicate to you. So you're at war with your body without realizing that the war that you need to have, or quote unquote, you don't need to be at war with your body. You just need to listen to what your body's trying to communicate to you, because your body has its own sense of consciousness.
Wow. Okay. So earlier you said we're not broken, right?
Absolutely not.
And so many of us walk around thinking just that something's wrong with us. Those of us who may be just even different, right? We seem to think that, you know, there's a problem with us because we're different than other people, or because we have had this trauma that causes us anxiety at times. How do we begin to regulate that?
So the best way to start is by understanding whenever you feel anxious, quote unquote, because all it is just unsafe inside of your body. Even depression and suppression, it's all the same thing. People are like, I got anxiety and I have depression. It's the same exact thing. You just feel unsafe inside of your body. That's it. People be like, anxiety is fearing the future. No, you never fear the future. What you fear is the past experience in which you never learned to regulate, and you project that past pain experience into the future, and now it's giving you something to be scared of. You don't get scared of what you don't know. People be like, we fear the unknown. No, you don't. You fear with the pain that you're projecting into the unknown to give you a reason to fear it. Like, kids don't get scared of the dark unless they learn about how dangerous being in the dark is based on watching movies. It works that way. But the best way to start is, one, understanding how do you feel inside of your body, because your mind can't feel, only your body can. So when you feel anxious, pay attention. You either feel a tightness in your throat, you feel your heart dropping, you feel your stomach sinking, you feel something in your body. Pay attention to what you feel inside of your body versus what the story that your mind is telling you or labeling this is what you feel. Your mind can't feel, only your body can. Your mind can't regulate your body. Your body has to do it. So everybody's talking about the mind-based approach. No, you have to listen to what your body's communicate. So when you separate the story of, oh, I have anxiety, take away the label. what you feel inside of your body is a tightness in your chest. Now, when you bring more awareness to the tightness in your chest, now I'll ask my clients, how do you feel about it? You like it, you don't like it, you want it to be gone, you wish it was never there. 100% of the time, people are scared of it. So they're going to be like, I don't like how this feels. Perfect. Now it brings awareness to you're not your body because you feel the sensation in your body already, and you're not the part of you that don't like it. That's the mental aspect. You're just awareness to both of those. So then once you realize you're just awareness to all the body and the mental aspect, it brings more clarity and more safety to you. So then that's one step. And then after that, I'll ask the part or ask them, does your mind feel more comfortable if we put it in a safe space? And 100% of the time they'll say yes, or they'll say no. If they say no, that means the mind still feels unseen and unheard by you. And then once you understand the mind feels unseen and unheard by you, you have to make the mind feel more comfortable with allowing you to go there, because the whole point of the mind trying to protect you, what people think is self-sabotage, is not. It's just your mind trying to protect you because it's scared just like you are. It's a part of the defense mechanism that our bodies created. So now you make the mind feel safe. So now I'll ask them, how do you feel about that tightness in your chest now? And they're like, it's not as bad. And I'm like, okay, that's good. Do you want to get to know it a little bit more? Is it cool with that? And they're like, yeah, I want to get to know it. It's not scary no more, because that story of it being scary is no longer there. And then I'll ask them, how old does that part think that you are? And that's when it's like 6, 5, 3, 2. That's when it's like, oh, so it's a 5-year-old part inside of you trying to get your attention because it's stuck. And that sensation that you're feeling is really based on the mind trying to distract you from that part inside of you, because it doesn't realize that you're no longer 5 years old. It still thinks you're 5. So it has to protect you. When you can't fight, you can't freeze, you can't fawn, you disassociate. And the disassociation aspect is your mind trying to take you out of that experience, which is trauma.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Talisha, you have anything to add? Jump in, questions, anything?
No, not at this time.
Okay, so you said so it's not self-sabotage, because I interact with people often, and I have said that, right? That this person is self-sabotaging. I have said that to myself, right? So what you're saying is that's not what it is at all.
No, it's your mind trying to protect you the best way it can, because consciously your mind is still that kid. You have to think about it as it's one of those things where self-sabotage is really your mind's way of trying to distract you from the pain that you feel. So it's easier. I'm harder on myself than somebody else coming in and being harder on me. I can't handle that, so I'd rather do it myself. And that's what people don't realize. It's a trauma response. You have to be that way, especially growing up in an environment in which you felt unsafe. So now you adapted to that environment, but that it's almost like what you did to get out of that environment, your body protected, or your mind protected you. Now you're an adult, and now you're almost like making that your mind trying to protect you wrong. So now you're creating a disconnect. So now it's like all throughout your childhood, your mind was there to help you survive throughout this experience. Now you have the awareness to recognize, okay, this is self-sabotage. Now I'm gonna blame my mind, and I'm gonna disconnect from my mind who's been there for me all this time. And now that's where the disconnect is. It's the same with addiction and whatnot. People don't understand it's our way of trying to soothe and cope with hurt. And when you understand there's different ways of people coping with the hurt that they feel, now you'll bring more understanding and compassion to them versus making them wrong for the behavior that they're showcasing.
Right. Wow. Okay, so let's turn this back to an entrepreneur, right? And their journey. And so we've got entrepreneurs that are feeling stuck, right?
Absolutely.
You know, maybe they don't have the motivation that's needed to take the business to the next level. You know, they're not as successful as they want to be, so maybe they're ready to just throw in the towel altogether. And some of that may stem from feeling like a failure or fear of being a failure.
It's fear,
right?
yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about fear.
The thing is that most people don't realize our biggest fear is to feel the emotion that we never learned to regulate. But the thing is, you already feel it. That's why you're scared of it. It's almost like trying to run from a grenade while you're holding the grenade in your hand. It won't work. So especially when it comes to feeling stuck. The thing is, the whole idea of feeling stuck is really you trying to suppress how you actually feel. So stuck is I'm trying to get different results by trying to change my behavior, but the same emotion and the same sensation that I'm feeling in my body is still here, which only means you're not listening to yourself. So when you get stuck, it's really just the fact that you're not listening to how you feel within your body. Your body's trying to communicate. Your mind is trying to get you to distract from it. So now you're running. I don't want to feel, but I also feel, but then I don't want to feel. Now I also, so now you're stuck in a loop. So the best thing is when you feel stuck, pay attention to what you actually feel inside of your body versus the story of I'm stuck. Because a lot of times what we're afraid to feel is the emotion that we never learned to regulate. So the emotion is it's the story that we're holding on to. So I don't want to feel like a failure. There's no such thing as feeling like a failure. That's not a feeling. You can only feel three main emotions: safe, unsafe, or neutral. Outside of that, it's just the story that you're telling yourself. So when you feel like a failure, we're equating that to unsafe, which is when you break it even down, it's I don't matter. People want to feel like they matter at the end of the day. So feeling like a failure only equates to I don't matter, which means I'm unloved. And to the primal mind, that means you're about to die. And that's why your mind comes in and disassociate. So whenever you feel stuck, realize the story is what you're telling yourself about how you feel, not the reality. What you actually feel is a tightness in my chest, or my throat closing up, or my stomach sinking. That's what you feel. But you have to feel that in order for your body to get your attention. The moment you regulate that and you connect to it, and you connect to that 5-year-old part who's just trying to tell you where she got stuck in the experience and what she never got to properly regulate her emotions, because all trauma is to the body is just unexpressed and unexperienced emotions. Unexpressed meaning you never got to actually say how you felt during that experience, and unexperienced is because you never felt the relief of what happened afterwards.
I want to play back how many times I say wow tonight. Wow. Because you just hit something with me, because especially when you're talking about childhood trauma, so often in that moment, children are not able to express themselves, right? Either their feelings or emotions are suppressed by the adult who is managing the space, sometimes the cause of the trauma, right?
Yeah. Children are supposed to be seen and not heard.
Right. That's that stupid ass lesson we always learned, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I remember one time my mother asked me, because I was trying to raise my son differently. My mother asked me, why you give him so many choices? Like, and I was like, because it's his life. Now, I'm obviously not going to give him any choices that are going to harm him, or that I can't, deliver on, right? So my options were controlled, but he still deserved to have options. And my mother, I remember her getting so upset with me, like you're a failure as a parent because you're giving this kid all of these choices to
absolutely. You gotta, even with your mom, you have to understand what's governing her mechanism and how she sees the world is trauma. You 5 generations down the line and we were slaves. So that epigenetics, a generational curse, that people think there's a such thing as generational curse. It's not a such thing as generational curse. It's just generational trauma being passed down, because expression back then was unsafe. You never wanted your kid to talk back to the master, because if he did talk back to the master, that was death, that was pain, no. Children are supposed to be seen and not heard, which is only traumatizing, because trauma is unexpressed and unexperienced emotions not being able to be released. So now you're trapped. So now you're holding on to what you feel instead of being able to articulate it and express it. So now that's being suppressed more deeper and deeper into your body. So now people think, like, every time I hear a person be like, I have controlling issues. No, you don't have controlling issues. You're just holding on to hurt. So now you're scared. So the ways in which you cope with the controlling issues or the pain that you never learned to regulate is by saying, I have to be in control. I have control. No, you're just hurt and you never learned to regulate that hurt. So now you're trying to protect yourself from experiencing that hurt. And that's what your mom was doing by saying what she said. It was just, she couldn't comprehend it, because the story of her life and how she was raised was, you supposed to do what I say. This is my house, my ball, my call. You follow my rules. Trauma, because you never felt safe in your own body. So now you have to be a certain way. You have to be a survivor. You have to be strong. You have to be tough. It's all based on trauma and not feeling safe within our own bodies, which is the reason why we connect and interact and raise our kids the way we do, and not understanding they're kids, but they're still little people. They still have their own mind. They still have their own awareness. They still have to learn. The biggest thing where we mess up when it comes to parents is we try to protect our kids from the hurt because we never learned to regulate our own hurt. So now we're trying to protect them from something that they never experienced before. And they're like, you don't see me, you don't hear me, you don't appreciate me. And it's like, yes, I do. I'm breaking my tail, I'm working, I'm doing all this. And they're like, no, I never asked you to do that. You're doing that on your own because now you're traumatized because your mom never did it to you, but you want to do it for your kid and not realizing they have their own personality. They're their own person. We mess up when it comes to children because we don't listen to them because we can't listen to ourselves. And everything we see in them is a direct reflection of what we see in ourselves. That's why when you don't like yourself, which is a trauma response as well, it's going to be hard for you to connect and love and appreciate your child for who they are because now you're trying to protect them from your own pain and whatnot.
Right. Okay. All right. Sharnetta said, I love that he used the example of children only being afraid of the dark if they have been introduced to fearing the dark. My children were never afraid of the dark because they never knew there was such a thing as fearing the dark. I totally agree with his philosophy. Mm-hmm. And Taliba says, I'm sure it depends on the person in particular trauma, but how long do you find it takes for a person to heal or to fully heal once they begin to apply your process? Or is it more of a lifetime practice?
So great question. So each person I have a session with, the healing aspect, because all healing means is wholeness to incorporate. So with trauma, it disconnects. It's almost like, I use the example of like a railroad and you go through a traumatic experience. So your body cuts off that traumatic experience, or it almost like blames that part of you. So it's still stuck, but you're still going on. Or you can use another example I use is almost like putting a part of you in like the back of a truck and you're driving the car and turning up the music to trying to distract you from that part being back there. It's always there. You're not broken though. So in the story of being broken, we're always trying to heal ourselves, but healing means to incorporate, healing means to come together with. So each session, the healing aspect happens because now you're freeing that part of you that was stuck in the experience in which it first felt unsafe. And all it really is, the healing aspect, is really just you allowing that 3-year-old or that 10-year-old to say everything it wish it could have said in that experience because you know what you wish you could have said, or everything it wish that somebody else would have said to it. But the beautiful thing about it is you at 38 or you at 39, you allow that 3-year-old to say everything she wanted to say, and then you at 39 comes and you be there with her and you like, yeah, you shouldn't have said that. So now she's witnessing you connect with her, and that's where the healing aspect. So every session, literally the healing happens. But the thing is, once you able to see one part, so once you're able to see that 3-year-old part, now the 6-year-old part wants to come and be like, hey, you seeing her? Let me see me. And then there's the 10-year-old part, because each part governs how we relate to the experiences and how we connect to those. So now the 3-year-old part, you see her, and now there's a 6-year-old part. And each time you heal, the more freeing you feel. It's so astonishing to me how much internal relief, because most people don't realize how much weight they're carrying. So after they have a session with me, the weight that's been lifted off their shoulders, they're like, I feel so light right now, because it's the emotional weight that you've been carrying for so long without realizing what's going on inside of you. And that's why, again, that's where the chronic diseases, that's where the fatigue from working out, that's your body's way of trying to communicate that you're neglecting me right now. And self-neglect is the first language we all learn as a way to survive in the environment we were raised in. So the healing aspect is, one, you're already healed, but each session that goes forward, you'll connect to yourself in ways in which you never ever connected to yourself prior. And then the beautiful thing about that is, once you do that, the way you relate to the world shifts. So now I had a session with a client, and her son would tell her, you're such an amazing mom. But internally, she didn't feel like she was an amazing mom, because of what happened with her when she was 8. Her grandparents said something to her, and how she'll never be a great mom or a bad parent. So psychologically, that traumatic event or that traumatic story stuck inside of her. But when she went back and relieved that 8-year-old from that experience, and she got to say to her grandma, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just projecting, whatever she wanted to say. The next, like after the session, she called me like an hour later and was like, my son came up to me and told me I'm a great mom. And I actually was able to relieve or feel it and believe it. And she was just crying, because it was like, I never knew how much I was judging myself for being a bad mom because of that 8-year-old part trying to get my attention. So
Yeah. I've experienced that with people who you give compliments to and they don't know how to accept the compliment, right? You tell them they're they did a good job or they're great, or people you tell them they're beautiful and they don't see that in themselves. And that's interesting. I never, I guess you just don't realize how much baggage people are walking around with, how much trauma. And something you just said, I felt something physically when you said it's freeing and you can see the 3-year-old self and the 6-year-old self. Like, I almost for a minute just listening to you imagined what that would be like. And inside I started shaking at the thought of being that free, right? To be able to release years. I'm 54 years old. I turned 54 years old on what was my birthday? Saturday. My birthday was Saturday.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. 54 years old on Saturday. And I know some of my traumas, right? Obviously, I know some of them. I don't know all of them, right? But I know some of them. And the idea that going through a process like this could literally lift that weight right off is absolutely amazingly welcomed. So
Appreciate
just
it.
the thought of it is welcome.
Yeah.
And it looks like Atia said she went through an emotional awareness process with a well-being expert, and it was so worth it. She said the process really opened her up for additional healing. She said, once we start working on our emotional trauma, you realize how many circumstances or people you stop being around. Interesting.
The thing, so even the thing with that, I'm kind of like, how I look at it is it's never about the people that you be around. It's more so the feelings that you associate to being around those people. So people like set boundaries. I'm not a big fan of setting boundaries. I don't even believe in it, because what you're actually setting boundaries on is the feeling that you associate to the external environment. So you're setting boundaries on how you feel. So now you're like, those people are the reason why I feel the way I feel, when it's like, no, when you understand it's you that feel that way already, they're just reflecting that based on what you see in them that you don't like within yourself. And that's where it's like, when you learn to connect to you, you can be around anybody. Because I'm cool, I'm at peace within myself. So you can hang out, you can smoke, you can drink. If that's not who I am as a person, you can't influence me to do something that's not in me already. But we live in a society in which it's like, they're the reason why you feel the way. So you need to disconnect from them without realizing it. It's not you disconnecting from them. Don't get me wrong, if you're in an environment which is unsafe and you're about to die, and protect yourself at all times. But a lot of times it's not the environment that we're in that was causing us to feel the way we feel. It's how we feel about ourselves in that environment, and we're projecting and trying to make it about the environment. Your mind has to do that, though. Your mind has to keep you safe, and the best way it knows how to keep you safe is by distracting you from how you feel. So now it's them that made you feel that way. Now it's the environment. Now it's their fault. They should have did this. Now you're not being present to the hurt that you feel inside of your body. And that's what the mind does. It has to do that because all it knows is to protect you. Trauma.
Okay, so I'm going to get personal, because I want to understand what you just said a little better. In order for me to do that, I need to get personal, associated with something in my life. So I don't like. I am severely uncomfortable in places where there is arguing, fighting, that just dysfunctional chaos. Right. And that is because I experienced as a child fighting with parents. Right. And so I when you talk about the body reacting, my body doing all the things. OK, when I get to that space, and it doesn't even have to be fighting. I don't even like loud noises. Like, I don't like, because that triggers in me kind of what's going on. You know, where is the chaos at, right? So my body is now, I'm looking around trying to see where, so I don't like any loud noises. So when you say you can be in any environment, right? I can't, right? The Tawana talking to you right now, I can't be in any environment because I don't feel safe in environments where there is loud noise, chaos. You know, I'm not one of those people that when the police drive by, you follow to see where the action is. I'm going the other way. I'm going the opposite way. I'm not stopping on the side of the road to look at the accident. I'm trying to, let's get, so what would you do for me to help me look at those situations differently, right? And react and respond to them in a different way?
So the thing is, if the environment is actually like, if you're seeing a lot of people that are yelling, they're arguing, and it's unsafe, get out of there. Absolutely, get out of there. Do what you need to do to stay safe. But when it's like an experience where people are talking or they're just loud and you still feel unsafe, recognize the Tawana. You said 54, 50.
Mhm.
You look great, by the way. I just wanted to let you
Thank
know
you.
that for your age. For sure, I would have never thought you were 54. But the Tawana that feels unsafe is not the 54-year-old Tawana, because in that current moment, are you about to die or experience a lot of pain? Yes or no?
No.
So if you're not about to die,
100% of the time, the answer is no.
so if
Yeah.
you're not about to die or experience a lot of pain, what you're feeling is unsafe inside of your body, which is that 5-year-old or that 6-year-old trying to communicate to you, where mommy was yelling. Trauma, it was a trauma, it was overwhelming experience. You didn't know how to regulate yourself, so your mind disassociated and took you out of that experience. So you never got to realize that you survived that experience, because she is no longer safe anymore, or she's still, that part of you is still stuck in that experience. Like it was so amazing. Yesterday I had a session with a client, and it's crazy because your mind will tell you, oh, this happened, you got traumatized when you were 16. I know exactly where the trauma came from. And it's like, yeah, your mind is trying to distract you from how you feel. So I had a client yesterday I was working with, and she was thinking, like, she, even with eating, emotional regulation with eating is one of those things that we use to distract ourselves. But she was thinking, like, I have an issue where when I get antsy, I just eat. I gotta eat. And she noticed that, and she was like, and then I have anger issues when I get angry too. So it all boiled down to when she was 3. And a lot of times when it comes to trauma is when we're forced to do something that we don't want to do. So your mind, instead of blaming your parents, because kids only live in 2 stories, especially when it comes to pain, self-doubt and self-blame. They only know me. Me. That's a mine. That's all they know. So what happened with her situation was, when she was, the part of her, it was 3, she was strapped in her chair to eat. She didn't want to eat the food, but she couldn't say, I don't want to eat this food, because if she would have, she would have got in trouble. She would have got spanked. So what happened was, that part of her was being so suppressed, and it caused her to eat as a way to distract her from how she feels, not realizing the part of her that was stuck in the story of, I have to eat this even though I don't want to eat it, was the traumatic part. So that's what she was feeling. Now as she was 34, now at 34, she's been feeling that, thinking, I have an eating issue, when in reality, it's a part of you that's stuck because you were forced to eat something you didn't want to eat. So now, as a way to distract you from how you feel, you eat. So now it's a similar situation with your case. It's a part of you that experienced the loud noise and the chaos. They don't know what happened afterwards, because the trauma, it'll take your mind disassociated. So it took you out of that experience. So now that 5-year-old is still stuck in the experience of, this loud noise was overwhelming to me, and I don't want to deal with it. I need to get out of here. Not realizing you're not 5 anymore. Your mind still thinks you're 5, though. That's why it's still telling you this is unsafe, even though you're safe currently.
Damn it, I'm going to say wow again.
All good. So even somebody said they put their hand, that's dope to put your hand on your chest to let you know you're safe, but that's invalidating the part of you that feels safe, if that makes sense. So it's like, I feel unsafe, let me put my hand, I'm safe right now. It's good to temporary fix, don't get me wrong, but you're invalidating the part of you that just want to feel heard and seen by you. If you're allowed, I tell people, allow that unsafe sensation to be in your body. You're allowed to feel unsafe in my body. I'm not trying to change you. I don't want you to be gone. I really want you to know that you're safe. I see you, I hear you, and I appreciate you for being here. I'm not as scared of how I feel. That's why I can be anywhere in the world, even though I don't want to be anywhere in the world. I can be there because I learned to be at peace within myself. And being at peace within myself isn't based on the circumstances that I want to be the way I want them to be, because I understand life is flowing in the direction it's meant for it to flow. And I'm gonna flow with life, not be in resistance to it. So now I understand what's happening to me at this current moment is exactly what I need to experience as a way to bring more awareness and more safety within myself. So I'm always at peace, because peace is an internal thing, not an external thing. So no matter what, I'm good. So it's understanding whenever that I put my hand on my chest and say I'm safe, it's good to do that. Don't get me wrong, but understand you're invalidating a part of you that feels unsafe, that's trying to get your attention. That's why you feel unsafe at that moment in time.
So these techniques can be used in, because we're doing the work on us, They can be used in any situation where we exist. So relationships, platonic, familial, romantic, all of the things. I mean, like literally we take these practices everywhere we go. And we pay attention to ourselves, right? I think that's the first thing I'm taking away from this is we got to move in a way, maybe even slow down enough to pay attention to what our body is saying and what our mind is thinking at any given time. We move through this world so fast, and so you know, a lot of us are struggling with these traumas still because we've not slowed down long enough to even address them and even acknowledge how they make us feel or how we are when we're experiencing things that trigger them.
Absolutely. And the thing is, it's an unconscious thing. Lawyer or therapists, doctors, they don't learn about trauma. They think they do, but they don't really learn about it to the fullest extent. That's why when I hear people be like, as a therapist, but when you're dealing with a narcissist, and it's like, when you understand trauma, you understand they're not a narcissist. They're just a hurt person who never learned to properly regulate their emotions. So the best way they learn to regulate their emotions is by trying to make themselves feel a lot better and being this way. And so it's like, how are you a trauma-based therapist, but you're calling people narcissists and labeling these negative emotions or whatnot, but you realize it's the ways in which they learn to adapt in the environment that they're raised in. So everything is always about, especially when I work with my clients, it's all about your relationship to you. For so long, we live in a story of, I'm responsible for how other people feel. You're not responsible for how other people feel. People feel that way because it's meant for them to feel it. That's the universe, that's God, whoever, however you want to call it, bringing awareness to what's going on inside of you. I can't make you feel how you feel. I can't do that. Don't give me that power. When you do that, you're neglecting yourself and you're suppressing that part of you that has the power to understand what's happening inside of you.
Say that again for the people in the back of the room. Man, think about how many relationships would be healthier with this kind of exercise and this kind of, I mean, is it okay to call it therapy? Because I feel like that's what
you're fine. Yeah. I'm just not a therapist. I just want to always
right. I mean, but I think about the relationships that could be saved.
Yeah.
If this kind of work is done.
And a lot of times, even in relationships, most people only want to be in a relationship as a trauma response, because realistically, you're not actually in a relationship with anybody outside of yourself. So when you think about it, I use an example, outside of being in your own head about being in a relationship, where you actually in a relationship at, it doesn't exist. It only exists based on your perception of the way you relate to another person. So now most people are trauma bonding because they never learned to regulate their own emotions. So now they're looking to be the mom or looking to be the dad for this other person that they never, ever had within themselves, or they're looking to the other person to be their mom or their dad based on their own trauma. So now you're connecting with this person from a place of trauma, not from a place of love. Most people don't even understand how to actually love, because you can only love another person to the level in which you love your least favorite part about yourself. That's why when you get triggered, you want to react or you want to break up with them, and then you get in another relationship and you get in everywhere you go, you're there with you. It's not the people.
You are, that's right. Yep.
So it's a lot of times, even with relationships, once you get to the root cause of it, you only want to be in a relationship with somebody outside of yourself as a way to not be in a relationship with yourself. So we like to hold other people responsible for how we feel. And then I use the example, we like to make other people wrong for how we already feel about ourselves. And then we hold them accountable to fix us. Like, it's your responsibility to love all the parts of me that I don't love. And then when you don't do it, I'm gonna make you wrong for it. So now you need to change your behavior so I can feel better about myself, because deep down inside, I only got with you because I didn't like the parts inside of me that I didn't want to deal with. And you were my safe space, which in reality, you made them your unsafe space because you felt unsafe within yourself. But that's what love is now. Everything. I can talk about relationships, parenting, I do it pretty much everything.
So I'd be curious to figure, like, again, this is from an entrepreneurial standpoint. I think a lot of people build things and go into what I consider that journey with regard to success and failure. There's a lot of different definitions in there. And a lot of people always say, begin with your why. A lot of the why is truly not the why that you're saying. Correct. Right. So
absolutely.
Talk about that. Like, why are you building a business? Why are you not considered, and a lot of people are like, I'm totally unemployable. They like to use that as the shroud, like I'm not meant to work in a corporate. I don't take direction while I'm an independent person. Those seem to be covert words for something else that it needs to be.
Yeah, absolutely. It's become more of a fad to be an entrepreneur, and it's so wild because I remember before it was like a big thing to become an entrepreneur. When I was like 8 or 9, my dad got fired from his job. And at that point, I'm like, I would never, he worked there for like 10 years, 11 years. So I'm like, at that point, I'm like, I can never work, I'll never ever want to work for nobody before it became a big thing, because it's like, I don't want to invest 10 years of my time into a company that can fire you and just be done with you, just like you ain't never did nothing for them. Like, you're replaceable. So it's interesting how everybody now is being entrepreneur, which is dope, but everybody's why is they're not getting to the real reason why they want to be an entrepreneur. And it's to avoid that hurt part inside of them that they're associating to, oh, I don't like taking direction. I don't like being told what to do. I don't like somebody being over me. I don't like, yeah, that sounds good, but what you really don't like is how you feel inside of your body based on the way you're interpreting somebody talking at you or telling you what to do. Most people don't really want that responsibility to hold themselves accountable. It is what it is. So it's easier to blame other people to make them responsible for how you feel than it is to actually do the work within yourself, because that requires you showing up and being there for you.
Yeah.
You want to say, wow, I know, she's waiting there. She's gripping the word.
This was going to be intense. I did. Because again, I talked to Robin. She talked to me. And I talked to Robin after, I think it was like y'all had like 2 sessions. So it was early in your relationship. And we were on the phone and she was still blown away and just was like, he said this. And I realized this. And like, so I knew this was going to be deep. I did not realize that I was going to see myself in so much of what you said.
It's everybody. You're not alone. Literally every single, like 100% of the people I know experience. It's just, we just don't know. Nobody's talking about relationships the way I talk about relationships, because we've been propaganda. We've been taught about the fantasy idea. Most people desire the idea of what a relationship is, but not the reality of what it takes. Right. You got to think about it. As a kid, everybody's like, as a kid, I knew I wanted to be a wife. I knew I wanted to be a husband. I knew all this stuff, but you didn't realize you only desired the fantasy of the experience, not the reality. Like I made a video talking the other day about how everything you prayed for in life is exactly what you're experiencing right now. We always pray for the end goal. We don't pray for the journey to get to that point. So now you're going through everything, the steps to get to that point, and you're like, I don't want to do this. But this is what you prayed for. You wanted that $1 million house. You wanted that 1,000, all these cars and all these big dreams and everything. But you only prayed for the end goal, but not the journey to get to that point. So now you got to go through what you need to go through in order to get to that point. That's why, like, every relationship I've ever been in, I'm so grateful and appreciative of all those relationships, because it helped me become the person that I am today. So now it's like, I love who I am today. So I don't need to make you wrong for helping me become the person I am, because I love me. So it's like a thank you. But we live in a world that's like, nah, he was toxic. They were toxic. It's like, nah, I realized I was the one that was quote unquote toxic. And I attracted you to help me understand what's going on inside of me. And that's the key to it all, is once you learn to be okay with how you feel in your own body, it won't matter what other people's doing outside of you, because it has nothing to do with you. They're going through their own traumas and tribulations and what they got going on. And a lot of times I don't want them to feel that way as a way to go against what they need to feel, because when you're okay with how you feel, you'll never try to bring chaos and discomfort and anything to another person's life. But when a person is trying to do that, realize it's not you that's causing them to do it, it's their relationship to themselves. Yeah. And when you understand that, now it's coming more from a loving space and more of appreciation, because even love, I tell people how I define love is just accepting another person for who they are without wanting them to change to be something that they're not, so you can feel better about yourself. So now you can show up and be yourself, and I'll embrace and love you. And whenever something's triggered inside of me, I know that's what's going on inside of me. It's not you. And I can appreciate and love you and thank you for it, versus trying to make you wrong and want you to fix it so I can feel better about myself.
Yeah. Wow.
That's her final wow. She had to do it.
Okay. So we can I and anyone else go to these sessions, How can we find you?
So you can click the link in my bio on my IG. On IG is just Healing with Naji, HeaLing with WITHNAJE, Healing with Naji. On TikTok, it's the same thing. On Facebook, it's the same thing, Healing with Naji as well. You literally just click the link in my bio, and I tell people it's a free 15-minute consultation. You answer the questions. I'm the type of person, like, I know this stuff and I want to help. Like, I'm gonna give you a lot in that 15 minutes. And a lot of people like, damn, you gave me a lot more than what my therapist has been giving me in the last 5 years. Yes, because I want you to succeed. I'm not trying to make you come back so you can keep buying and buying. Like, at the end of the day, if you want to buy, great. If you don't, great. Now you just have a more of awareness to understand what's going on inside of you to be able to connect with yourself. So yeah, it's just Healing with Naji. We'll have the 15-minute consultation. If it's with relationships, parenting, couples, I pretty much do everything because it all stems from how we relate to ourselves. Even forgiveness and all that stuff. Literally everything. If you want to help with your kids not listening, you need help with your relationship, if you need help with talking to expressing yourself, it's really just understanding how to connect to the parts of you that you never learned that was there because it's an unconscious thing. So being stuck in the story of I'm not enough, I don't matter, my voice don't matter, I'm a failure, anything. Because what I tell people, I use an example. If somebody was to cut you open right now, will there be a label inside of you that'd be like, Naji, he doesn't matter? It's like, no, it's not real. It's only a story. So what we're scared of is just the story that we're telling ourselves about this current experience. But a lot of times it's not the current experience that you're scared of. It's the traumatized part inside of you that never got to properly regulate itself. And once you really connect to there, your whole life, like, it's so dope because like people are like, I'm scared to go to this concert. I had a session with a woman. She was like, I'm scared to go to a concert. And I spend a lot of money on this Beyonce concert, but every time I'm there, I'm around a lot of people. I'm looking at the exit. I'm like, okay, I can go there, I can go there, I can go there. But she grew up in a chaotic environment in which she had to always be on the lookout. Trauma. So now she was like, after she had the session, now she's not worried about going to the concert because now she understands whenever she feels that sensation, that's her body trying to let her know, okay, take some time, be appreciative, enjoy life, have fun. I just want to thank you for being there. It's more so helping you understand the ways you relate to how you feel. Is no longer a place of negativity or I don't want to feel this. It's more so, what is my body trying to tell me now? Now, if you need help losing weight, it's the same thing. Emotional regulation. Shit, I lost like 50 pounds in 6 months just by learning how to properly regulate my emotions.
Wow.
Now I don't need to eat when I feel this sensation in my stomach because this sensation in my stomach is letting me know I'm safe or letting me know, now you need to chill a little bit. It's letting you know because your body knows how to live in this world. Your body was literally designed to survive in this world. Trauma just causes a disconnect. So now your mind feels like, no, I know how to survive in this world. This is good and this is bad. I tell people good and bad, negative and positive only exist in your mind. In the universal law, language or law, there's no good and bad because everything happens because it's meant to happen. We just make it right or wrong because we don't want it to happen based on how we're associating to safety or unsafe. And it's all based on trauma, but yeah.
So Talisha, we should have gone live with this one. I know this was a members only one, but we're gonna post this one everywhere in its entirety. Everybody needs to listen to this. This is not a members only session. Okay. This is a Save the World session.
I will distribute it with that intent.
Yeah. So, and I know we gotta go. I gotta book a session because we could talk all day.
Good. All good. The podcast. Did you ever listen to the podcast that we did?
I did. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Okay.
I want for anybody listening to this with young children for sure, right? Where the possibility that trauma has not yet happened to them, right? They've not been exposed to it yet. I want those parents to really listen to this and possibly book sessions with you, because my logical brain says, if we can, as conscious adults, go through this exercise early enough, we will be able to eliminate some of the trauma or teach our children early how to become aware when it does occur. And therefore they won't be, you know, perceived to be broken when they
Mhm.
become our age. Like if you can
Mhm.
tackle it early, like
Mhm.
that's what's up right there. Like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. It's dope, and I appreciate you for bringing that up because it's not trying. At the end of the day, life is gonna happen. They're gonna get hurt. They're gonna scrape their knees. They're gonna do whatever they do. It's helping them have the awareness to understand. Okay, I feel like somebody's not listening to me. Okay, where do I feel that in my body? What's going on inside of my body? Where does my body trying to communicate to me versus the story? And a lot of times, I have a niece. She's 3 years old. We have a little handshake. But every time we do our handshake at the end, I tell her to breathe.
Mm.
So in breathing, a lot of times when it comes to like trauma, you have shortness of breath. So now your body's in fight or flight mode. If you start hyperventilating right now, you'll start to feel unsafe right now because your shortness of breath is causing you to tighten up. And now it's a lot of like people with anxiety, they're shallow breathers. Not understanding that is because of trauma. You have to make sure you're always on alert. So now you're not taking deep breaths to relax and release. Now you're always looking for something. But with my niece, even like when she gets super upset and she's not being able to consciously understand what's happening, she knows to breathe because I always tell her to breathe. So even when she's boohoo crying, I'm like, breathe. She might not do it then, and I do it, and then she's like, and I'm like, yes, breathe. There you go. There you go. Now you can kind of calm down because kids, when they're in it, they're in it. They don't know how to properly regulate their own emotions. That's why they go to the parent, and the parent is there to help them regulate. That's why when a kid is crying, you pick the kid up, it feels safe. Now it stops crying. It's when you consciously understand how to properly regulate your own emotions, it'll bring more clarity and understand to help your child do the same thing. Kids learn by mimicking us, especially when we're triggered. Especially you get the cop or a car cut you off and you yelling and flipping the car. I guarantee your kid will do the same exact thing
Right.
because they watch you do it enough to where it becomes a part of them. The first 7 years of our life, we learn who we are by imitating the people we care about the most or the people who give us the
That
most
early,
attention.
the first 7 years.
7 years actually from 6 months of utero until 7 years. You're consciously learning, especially when it comes to mom. The mom is the world. Like a lot of times with your mom whooping the kid, I tell women, don't ever whoop your kid. Let the dad be the bad guy. Don't ever do that because the mom's relationship with the kid is the most pivotal relationship there is. People think they have daddy issues. You never have daddy issues. Your dad can have an impact on how you relate to yourself, but your mom was the one who chose it. So energetically, your mom is the one who gives the okay for all relationships. Children look to their mom first to be able to know, okay, he's safe. Mom tells us what's going on and whatnot. So yeah, it's just especially with moms, when you learn to be okay with how you feel and you're not hyperventilating or panicking whenever something happens with your child, you talk to your kid, you let your kid know, I hear you, I see you, you're safe, I still love you, I'm still here for you, I'm not trying to make you wrong for being here, and just breathe. You're okay, you're safe. When you're able to do that, the world is shift for your child because now they're not looking through the lens of survival, but they're looking through the lens of love and acceptance and being okay with how they feel.
Okay. Damn it.
Stephanie has a
Wow.
question. She said, do you have a book about emotional awareness?
I'm working on it. Everybody's telling me I need to write a book. Yeah, I need to. I want to write one for sure. It's just energetically. What I do is like I have a whole bunch of notes on everything. Like I have thoughts and I just jot them down in my notes. So I need to compile all my notes. But the thing is also every time I learn something new or my mind gives me something new or I go through an experience where I look at things different, like, oh, now I can write it, add that to it. So it's just I'm planning on it. Somebody was like they want to help me write a book and whatnot. So I'm definitely planning on writing one in the near future for sure.
We have a resource in our community that would be helpful for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Please.
We do. Yeah, Talisha, hook Najee up with Monique Lisa.
I will.
I feel like I'm gonna need like a retreat with you. Just like I need
Me and
one.
Robin, everybody's we're trying to make it happen for sure. We're about to start a Facebook group. As well as in the process, we're doing a website where it's gonna be a community where everybody can talk and feel safe and really feel safe to be able to really express because I would never judge another person ever a day in my life because I understand to judge is to make another person wrong. And I never walked a day in your shoes, and I never know what you experienced. And people really be going through the ringers, especially like learning trauma and having sessions with people, the people you think are like amazing and their life is so well put together, and you get them and you have a session with them, and you realize how traumatized and how hurt they are and how suppressed, how much they suppressed and whatnot. So it's like, I'll never judge you. People, your body's trying to do the best it can as a way to survive in this world. And a lot of times we don't know how to navigate. So we try to protect ourselves without realizing you don't need to protect yourself. You just need to be okay with how you feel. And the moment you're okay with how you feel, your world will shift. Your reality will shift. The way you connect to people will shift. Now it's coming from a more loving place versus a lacking space.
Yeah. And that's why we have to be kind to ourselves and to others. We have to lead with that. You never know what someone is dealing with. And you never know even what you think you know, right? You think people have it together and they don't. I mean, I tell you, I'm dealing with some shit right now, and my mother is sick and dying. I just had a grandbaby, so I'm supposed to be happy about that, but I'm worried about my mom.
You get it. You book a session.
I'm overwhelmed. Like there's, and I come here and I try to smile through it every week, and it's hard. It is absolutely difficult.
Because you're trying to, you have a session with me, yo, I'm telling you, like it'll shift, because now everything that you were talking about was your way of neglecting how you feel. You don't even realize it. Your mom, you just had a grandbaby, you're talking about everybody else and how hard it is, but you're not being present to what's going on inside of you. And the hardness is coming from the resistance to not wanting things to be a certain way, because a part of you, that little girl inside of you, is scared. And that's okay. It's perfectly fine, because she's only scared because she's experienced hurt before. And she don't ever want to experience that hurt before. But once you connect to her, she'll realize she don't have to be stuck in the role of living in the story of hurt. She could be stuck in the role of being whatever happy place or fun place she want to go to. So now you'll realize whatever happens with your mom is meant to for it to happen. And you can love her in the space in which she's at, because you love yourself. Whatever happens with your grandbaby is meant to happen. You don't have to control that. Life got them. They're already taken care of. You're already taken care of. You just don't realize it, because trauma distorts how we see the world. So now we're always in, I need to control this. I need to do this. I need to fix it. I need to be here. I need to be there. You're just distracting from how you feel. And once you're okay with how you feel, again, the way you relate to everybody will be okay.
Yeah, I needed that. I definitely need that. Atia, you're absolutely right. So Najee, Atia and I are investors in a Black-owned luxury retreat in Morocco. And they hold weekly retreats for different types of topics. You would absolutely be an amazing retreat. And so I will make that connection, Atia, as well. Atia had another question. She said, can you mention your estimated price ranges for sessions or packages?
So right now, 30 minutes. So for an hour, it's $250 an hour, and the prices will go up once we start the Facebook group, just because it's going to be more directed to get people more in there. So for couples, it is 500, 250 the hour session. For 30-minute sessions, it's 150. For kids, it's 175, I think, right now for an hour session. Kids are so dope. I love having sessions with them, because they're so on it. It's like amazing, like talking to adults, and I'm like, how old is that partner? Like, nothing's coming up, nothing. They're in sort of resistance. I'm talking to the kid, they're like, yeah, it's 6, it's 5. No, actually it's 4. I remember, because my mom, I'm like, whoa, okay, you on it. Yes, like, yeah, my mom was, and I
better
memory.
They're not removed from it. They're real close to the point, the epicenter
like,
of their trauma. They're real close to it.
They know it. They like, I remember, and I wanted to tell my mama this. I'm like, yeah, say it, tell her. And it's like, how you feeling now? I feel so much better. Oh my goodness. Like, yeah, I love kids. I love them. They're so amazing.
I absolutely love that. But we've got your contact. We put it in the chat.
Okay, thank you.
I see it right here. Everybody grab this. Follow Najee on IG for sure. He does some really dope videos. And so please, we talk about financial freedom, right? That's the premise of what we do at the 10K Project. But none of that shit matters.
No.
None of it matters if you don't do the work on yourself first. None of it matters. Yeah, absolutely. You have all the money in the world, but if you still are dealing with trauma, then what is it all for? So we want to
really enjoy it.
Right. We want to be healthy when we spend that money, right? Right? when we get the bag, we want to be healthy. When we travel, we want to be healthy and happy. And, we want to live this life. We only get one, right? We get one. And so we need to be the best versions of ourselves as we possibly can be. And what I've heard here this evening is that there's a chance for all of us to be able to do that. We just got to do the work. And so we presented someone here tonight that can help us do the work. The next thing to do is act. I always tell you, all I do is I present these dope people to you, but what you do with it after after we hit end on this session is up to you. I hope tonight you don't procrastinate. I hope tonight you act. I hope tonight you seek healing, because I do believe that is something Najee can give us based on what I've heard. I'm gonna book my session.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And even if anybody's on the fence, I do a free 15-minute consultation, literally 15 minutes. You just answer the questionnaire, and I'll help you get to the point where you recognize, okay, it's a 6-year-old inside of me that's being triggered. And then now you can do whatever you want with it afterwards. If you want to book, you can. If not, that's perfectly fine as well. I just appreciate people for feeling safe enough to even want to contact and talk to me. It really means a lot. So thank you again for having me here. And I look forward to having a session with you. I'm so excited. I get so excited because I know the relief, and oh my, it's like amazing to me, because it's like, I know how I felt when I first experienced it, and being able to let other people see it and experience it for themselves, it's like a weight's been lifted. It's so exciting for me to experience. So I'm so excited and so happy for you as well. And I appreciate y'all for having me on. Like, this is so dope, and I can't wait to start doing this more consistently and whatnot. So thank you.
Thank you for even finding interest in something like this, right? Using your own trauma to learn something new, and then not just keeping it to yourself, but sharing it with the world, right? So thank you. This sounds like this is your calling, brother, and good for you for being aware enough to see that.
Thank you so much.
Okay, everyone, good night. We'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we've got another amazing Black founder. That is, I'm trying to think what tomorrow's founder. Tomorrow we're doing something a little different. Tomorrow we're going to introduce to you a new Black-owned portal. So please come. It's an opportunity for us to support another Black founder who's raising capital. And this one is a Black-owned portal. So I know we've introduced you to a couple thus far, but this is a new one. And real estate is the industry. So there'll be some really good deals for us to go over. So actually, essentially tomorrow, we're going to see more than one opportunity for investment, because we're going to look at the portal itself. We're going to hear from the owner and learn about what she is doing and the company she is building. So we've got a Black female founder who has a Black-owned real estate portal. So come live. If you have to watch the replay, okay. But we have so much more fun when you come here in person and join us. And so if you can, we'd really, really appreciate that. But other than that, you guys know I love you. I love that you are committed to the 10K community. I love that you join us week after week and hear about wealth building and mindset, and now emotional awareness. And so thank y'all for riding with us. This has been one hell of a 3 years, and I feel truly blessed to be a part of this community. So thank you so very much. Najee, thank you for your time this evening. Keyshawn, I love you, my dear. And we'll see you guys tomorrow.
Have a good evening.
Have a good one. Thank you. Good night.